Whose screen?
Mine.
Well, hello there. What's different about your? Oh, from your side, yeah, your screen maybe is a little bit different, but your background is the same.
Some person hiding inside the computer moved some of the buttons around.
Yeah, that's how those things work,
You know, we always blame it on the computer, right?
That's the only reason.
So how was you had a meeting last week, I think, with different groups of people?
You'll have to remind me because you can say that about not only last week, but also about yesterday and about an hour ago. Well, I'm doing it all the time. Remind me what I was talking about.
Well, I'm not sure exactly, but
that's what you remember. Let me look at my calendar. 1 second.
What is the most significant meeting you've had recently, the last few days?
If we're talking about, you and I met last Monday, the 16th. Does that sound right?
It was a week before. You weren't available last Monday, I don't think.
Well, let's see. Okay, if you say so. Yeah, I see you there. Oh boy, this might have been it. The next day or the day after, I participated in a meeting of Israeli Jews together with Israeli Arabs.
Okay, that sounds familiar. And what was the meeting about? Can you say, or is it confidential?
Yeah, I can say whatever I want. It's a free country.
That can get you in trouble, though,
Let me interrupt this and tell you a joke that I remember. I understand that it's a true joke. That a friend of mine, or maybe it was even me, visited New York from Israel and got into a cab, and I started talking with the taxi driver. And from here to there, it seemed that he was a Jewish immigrant from Russia or from the Ukraine, the USSR, those days. And I said, "Oh," he said, "Yes, I am Jewish." I said, "Really? Have you ever been to Israel?" He said, "No, I've never been to Israel." I said, "Oh, you have to go to Israel." And he said, "This is democracy. I don't have to do anything."
Well, there's a theological answer to that.
Oh, what's your theological answer to that?
Yes, absolutely. Only God can do whatever he wants to do. The rest of us are pretty limited in our freedoms.
Well, the question is,
we can only do we can only do certain things because there's restraints on all of us. So
okay, but what are those restraints, and how much are we going to focus on the half full cup as far as the half full empty? Whatever, you know what I mean? If the cup is half full of liberty, of freedom.
Oh, absolutely.
Are we focus on the half full or on the half empty? What are you saying?
The half full for sure, but if you recognize your humanity, you will celebrate the half full with a grateful, humble heart.
Okay, that sounds very nice, but I'm not sure I understand. As a resident, a citizen of a free democracy, then I feel that I have freedoms, and I praise God and I thank God that I live in such a free country. But if my freedoms are taken away, or I perceive that my freedoms are taken away by humans who deign to push what they think I'm allowed to do, then I'm going to try. I'm going to rise up. Maybe not revolt, but I'll certainly protest.
So you have the spirit of Maccabees upon you.
Amongst other things, I'm thinking of, who was it? Jefferson, who said something like, "Revolt against tyrants is freedom of God," or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good paraphrase. That it's a divine imperative. That came out pretty good.
and I also am a student of my Rabbi Nachum Rabinovich of blessed memory, passed away a few years ago. He was I think I might have mentioned this to you in the past. He was a world-class scholar of Maimonides. He was a world-class scholar. Even if he had never heard of Maimonides, he still was a world-class scholar. But he was a world-class scholar in Maimonides. And one of the things that he taught us about Maimonides was the absolute importance, the foundational importance of free will. In other words, God, Maimonides was a religious scholar himself. He was somebody who really created or formalized the foundation of what today's Jewish thought and faith is really has been, I don't know, standardized, but the most common statement of faith, if you will, Judaism.
He is what we would call systematic theology. He came up with the best theological statements of what he thought Jewish people should believe.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure we discussed this, but we'll discuss it again. His 13 principles of faith, I don't know, it looks like you're nodding over there, have been also set to a tune. They've been written up. Somebody paraphrased them in a poem, and not only have they been set to a tune, but the poem itself is iambic pentameter. I don't really know what that means, but it sounds good. It's like so you can almost put any tune to it, and after every prayer or once a week at least, we sing it. So every kid knows those 13 principles. They might not even notice that they know them, but they know them. It's really, really good. But my rabbi taught me that all of these 13 principles of what you're supposed to believe are very good. But there's a 14th principle that is even the foundation of all of those principles. The principles are God exists. He gives a reward and punishment. Torah came from is divine. Messiah will come. All sorts of important things like that. I think that those four, at least, you probably agree with as well. Anyway, but
I know you have my book, No Longer Strangers.
Oh yes, I do. I think I even have it in this.
I have those for the Christian readers. I have those 13 principles listed in that book, and the point of that lesson class was to see, are there any of these 13 principles that Christians can agree with? And of course, basically all of them with some different interpretations of how we would understand them. But
yes,
very similar.
But my point here, as I'm getting around like this, is that the foundational principle is free will. That without free will, there would be no point in any commandments. There would be no point in any principles of faith. You wouldn't be able to decide whether you believe in something you don't believe in. It's all decided for you.
Absolutely. We have a free will, but even that's limited. If you want to go someplace, you have to put gasoline in your car. And if there is no gasoline, you're not going. So we do have certain limitations as human beings.
Okay, well, my question is, are you hinting at something over here? Obviously, we have a phrase in Hebrew, Mishe toreach be'erev Shabbat yochal b'Shabbat. If you prepare your meal on Friday, then you'll be able to eat it on Saturday. But if you didn't prepare your meal on Friday, then you're not going to have anything to eat on Saturday. So obviously, your freedom depends on having your resources prepared. And if you're lucky that somebody else prepared those resources for you, okay, you're lucky. But if not, then you have to prepare them yourself. And if you didn't prepare them, then you blew it on your free choice, the previous step. So by now you don't have that freedom of choice. You don't have unlimited freedom of choice at every given step of your life. You have freedom of choice based on whatever foundations are prepared for you, whatever you prepared for yourself or prepared for you, at that point. Like right now, I don't have freedom of choice to walk 10 meters and to touch the city limits sign of Boca Raton, Florida, because I'm not 10 feet away from the city limits of Boca Raton, Florida. I'm where I am now. Right now, I have the freedom of free choice to turn on the radio that's sitting right next to me or not to turn it on, and if etc. So those are quite clear. My question to you is: were you thinking of something that is more theological, more ideological, more Christian when you said that we don't have complete free choice because we have to prepare ourselves? What were you hinting at?
I'm hitting at the fact that human beings have limited freedom. We can only do so many things, and only God himself is absolutely free to operate within his moral parameters, and that we should recognize that and celebrate the freedoms that we do have, the free will that he's given us, the half full cup, but do it with gratitude and humility.
Of course.
That was
maybe you're hinting towards and therefore, in other words, when we recognize that God is part of the equation, that he created us and implanted within us a freedom of choice, but he also implanted with us a certain framework that we should choose to follow. And if we choose to stray from that framework, then basically we are saying to God, thanks for the freedom of choice, no thanks for the framework. And that's like,
I think that's what causes most of the problems in the world. I think.
Exactly. It's like your mother saying, "Here's your allowance. Spend it on something good. Don't spend it on junk." And then you go and spend it on junk.
Absolutely. And that's where we find the grace and mercy of God to forgive us for our failures and love us in spite of ourselves and help us through life.
Yes. So absolutely. How did we jump out to this? Yeah. So did that have something to do with the meeting that I had? Yes. We went to meet with a few speakers. I was invited to tag along at a whatchamacallit, a field trip of a Jewish leadership course or fellowship, whatever you want to call it, of about a dozen or so Jewish leaders. And these Jewish leaders, principals of schools, of high schools, and stuff like that. So these Jewish leaders were invited to participate in a course learning about other religions in order to engage, or I don't know necessarily in order to, but part of that was actually engaging with members of these other religions. So I think mostly it was engaging with Christians and Muslims. They had like 3 lessons each or whatever over the course of one lesson a month or a gathering to study sources. And then at the end of every quarter or something like that, they would go and meet with representatives of those religions. So I had some time with the director of this fellowship. He said, "Listen, we're going." I said, "Listen, whenever you do something, tell me. I'm interested." So he said, "Sure." In a couple of weeks, we're going to Kafr Qasim, which is an Arab city near Tel Aviv, and you're invited to come along. So I came along, and I was trying my best to grit my teeth to not ask certain questions. But from time to time, I would say I have a question. After about 3 or 4 questions, the guy said, "Listen, you're here as a guest. Please don't ask so many questions."
So you had limited freedom.
But that's okay. I don't think that I had limited freedom. Again, to phrase it that way, I had to breathe every minute or 30 seconds. I don't have the freedom not to breathe. I chose to act according to social rules within this framework. Not I think it's very important that people have to pick up on social cues and behave the right way within certain social circles, because if they don't, they won't be invited back. And you always want.
What did you come away with from this meeting that you found was important or helpful, or something that you would want to further pursue?
First of all, I always like to meet people, and as I probably said before, I certainly said today to somebody else, if I'm meeting with somebody who's just like me, then one of us is superfluous. And so this group itself, there were some people there that I wanted to that I might have seen on Facebook, or I might have even be friends with on Facebook, but I wanted to connect with them, get their WhatsApp number so I could be able to connect with them. So there were a few interesting Jewish leaders who I was happy to meet and to start a relationship with. The main person who spoke, the main Muslim Arab who spoke in Kafr Qasim, he, I believe, was a principal of a high school over there, and maybe he was also a member of the city council or something like that. And he was giving a presentation mostly about his leader, or his spiritual father. I don't know exactly. I don't even remember what his name is now. I just did not remember it all. But he was the founder of either he was the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood, or he was based on the Muslim Brotherhood. He founded the Islam, the Northern, I don't know. the Muslim movement in Israel, and then there was a breakaway from the Muslim movement in Israel to a movement that was a little bit more. I don't even know how to say it. More nationalistic or more fundamentalist. I don't even know exactly what it is. So it was difficult. We only had a few hours there, and so on the one hand, the guy said, "Listen, we're trying to be forward looking, to trying to create bridges between Israeli Jews and us. We are Israeli Arabs, or they maybe called themselves Palestinians who are all of Israeli citizenship." I don't know exactly. I don't know it too much. In other words, all of this stuff I've heard a little bit. Here was a chance to hear it directly from somebody, but it still wasn't enough to try to bridge the cultural differences that I could say, okay, you've got this cultural background and this cultural milieu and this cultural language, and here's where I agree with you, and here's where I disagree with you, and here's how we can agree to disagree. It was still, I was hearing a little bit of this thing, a little bit of that thing, a little hard to make that bridging, but it was the first time that we met. So
it's a first step.
Exactly. Now, some people only take that most people don't even take that first step. And some people only take a first step. And some people take also a second step and a third step. There was a gentleman over there who gave the last presentation. He was an Israeli rabbi, Jewish rabbi, who presented his partner, a Muslim fellow, an Islamic fellow, who evidently is like the number one Islamic legal mind and posek, we say in Hebrew, a legal decider in Islamic law in the world. Maybe he's number one, maybe only, I don't know. But this guy, obviously, he moved it forward because they're partners in various different programs that they run. He's like the head of a project in Bar Ilan University, mediation project between land. Okay, so that's a guy who took it a few steps more. Again, I'm taking this of many steps, engaging with Christians. I wouldn't say that I'm the number one Orthodox Jewish engager with Christians. I'm far from it, but in my little league, that I'm pretty big. But everybody does what they feel like doing, and I think the most important thing is to engage. You're not saying no with you. I'm not willing to engage. I don't want. Today I went to Jerusalem, and I drove back, and on my way there, I picked up a hitchhiker. And this hitchhiker, sometimes I try to talk with my hitchhikers. So this hitchhiker was the whole battle array. He was an ultra-Orthodox rabbi with the black suit and the white shirt and the black hat and the beard and the glass. He got it all. And he asked for a ride to go home. He lives in an ultra-Orthodox city, about a half an hour drive from where I live, called Beitar Illit. 70,000 residents, all of them ultra-Orthodox. So I said, I really like to engage with people who are not like me, and I feel that I don't engage enough with ultra-Orthodox people like you. And he said, I feel the same way about ultra-Orthodox people. He told me how his lane in ultra-Orthodoxy, he lives in an apartment building with 31 other families. He said, my next door neighbor is a different kind of ultra-Orthodox Jew than I am, and I don't have anything to do with him. He said, I noticed that, so I make an effort to go to different synagogues to little by little learn about these different kinds of ultra-Orthodox Jews. So everybody has a lot to work on to meet up with the other, and I really that's what Root Source is all based on. I say God just wants His children to play nice with each other.
We all have a lot to learn from each other. That's for
sure. Exactly. So that's a little bit what I took away from last week, and a little bit what I took away from this afternoon here. I told you before that you never know who I'm going to be meeting.
It takes an effort, a conscious decision effort to reach out to people who have different backgrounds than you have. To I think the most important thing is to listen to people, to listen, and not come with an attitude that, well, I know everything and I can't learn anything from you. So if we're talking, we're not learning ourselves. Oh, it's
no. I sometimes when I talk, I hear things come out of here that I never heard go into here, and I said, "Wow, that's interesting." So sometimes I learn just by sharing, but I don't think that I'm unique like that. I think a lot of people they talk things out and they help to learn themselves. But of course, by listening to somebody else is more of a. But that's also not true, because that person, he's talking with his frame of reference, and so that might not fit in, the puzzle piece might not fit in well enough with my puzzle piece. So in other words, if when he talks and I hear what he's saying, that fits very nicely, but it could be like this, and so I'm not at the space to hear what he's saying.
It's a very good it's a very good word picture. The puzzle doesn't fit into the outline on the puzzle where the piece should fit.
Right.
So,
but if you build this piece here, and then this builds still here, then another piece, then you come with that piece, then it fits.
We have a lot to learn from each other. We all have pieces of the puzzle, and we all need to discover the pieces that other people have to see if. Then, of course, we have to decide if that's a valid piece or not. But that's a choice we have to make.
In the few minutes that we have left, and we met today thinking that we would have a shorter time. And that I didn't even know what we were going to talk about, and here we really hit a home run, I think. How are you doing? What's going on your side of the pond?
Well, we're celebrating Peggy's doing so well for several months now. She's actually been able to get out and walk on our property for about 25 minutes, which she's not been able to do in 2 years.
Wow.
Yes, and so we have no natural explanation other than somehow that we don't understand God is helping her. So from going to not being able to finish taking your shower without having to sit down to walking 25 minutes on your property without having to sit down is a huge accomplishment. So that's one day at a time. We're celebrating the half full glass. So that's going on there. And I'm in the process of finishing my course on the Hebraic Christian College that we've talked about before. So I've got about 600 test questions to write for the students. So that's a lot of test questions.
When is that course going to start being given?
Um, I don't know the answer to that. I really don't know, but it's just about got it finished to turn over to the next people to do something with it. So that's been taking most all of my time for quite a while, and that's at the end of the tunnel, as we say. So then we'll just get back into the next project. Oh, that's kind of drawing to a close. So the end of the year, the end of that project, and we'll see what comes up next. So
God will
always
be
writing,
faithful to bring you something else, I am sure.
always writing, always teaching, always reaching out, trying to fulfill the mitzvahs of loving God and loving your neighbor and the stranger as yourself.
Amen.
All these other things that we do have to somehow move that forward.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much. Let me take a quick look at my calendar for next week. So next week, I see that I'm going to be in Jerusalem till 3 p.m. and I'm not sure when I'm coming back. So I put down here until 5:30, which is when we meet, or 5:45. So I might make it, but if not, then I will send you an email beforehand to tell you that I'm not going to make it.
May I ask what you'll be doing in Jerusalem, or is that confidential?
No, you can certainly ask. I'm not going to meet my mistress. Don't worry about it. There is a seminar led by the Leadership Institute of Washington, D.C., who they come to Israel. They go all over the world. They have an international training unit, and they've been to Israel a few times, and I try to go to that every time. So this time, I think the training is going to be about digital communication or something like that. But I mostly go to meet my friends.
Very good. Well, I hope it will be a successful journey for you. And till next time.
Toda rabah.
Thank you.
Shalom, shalom.